I think today was a miss for Harris. I mean, Joe Biden went on The View today and said he delegated all sorts of authority to her on domestic policy. We know that the Biden administration is not popular on domestic and economic policy.
All right, guys, welcome back. And let's talk about Kamala Harris' interview on MSNBC from yesterday. And honestly, watching it felt like deja vu. Nothing new, nothing of substance, as usual. And I'm glad Scott Jennings from CNN called out exactly that. He's not afraid to cut through the fluff and get to the facts. Even on a network like CNN, where you would think it would have to tone it down, but it doesn't. Jennings rightly pointed out how Harris, just like she keeps like recycling the same old talking points, whether it's about her middle class upbringing, ambitions, aspirations, or vague plans for the economy. She's not offering anything concrete. It's like a broken record. Before I go any further, I don't want to talk too much. Let's just watch how it went down.
Scott, here is more of what Harris is trying to lean into in this national interview. And I want to talk more about the fact that it's national in a moment. But first, here's what she's saying.
We have ambition. We have aspirations. We have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone, gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions.
In that specific moment, Scott, she doesn't, of course, tie silver platter specifically and explicitly to Trump, but it's a phrase she's used to attack him after the debate. It's clearly the implication she's trying to make. Does that breakthrough, does talk like this have some people say, okay, maybe I should reconsider, who are in that group that trust him on the economy more?
Yeah, I'm still confused about which billionaire rich people are good and which are bad. Trump is, I guess, bad. The people who support Trump are bad. The billionaires that she goes around with, I guess, are good. I think it's a very muddled thing, and I still don't understand. I think today was a miss for Harris. I mean, Joe Biden went on The View today and said he delegated all sorts of authority to her on domestic policy. We know that the Biden administration is not popular on domestic and economic policy. She gave a speech today saying we've got to move past the policies that people think have failed. Well, people think the last 4 years are a failure. And from what I can tell from this interview tonight, which was really a home game, I mean, going on with this particular interviewer was like effectively interviewing with her campaign's press secretary. She had nothing new to say on the economy beyond this ridiculous pablum. You want to talk about aspirations and dreams? They're crushed in this country because of inflation, and these kinds of interviews and the day that she had today are not going to solve it.
So, Jane, can I just...
There you have it. And here's the real kicker. She's talking as if she's not part of the current administration that's been running the show for the last few years. She makes promises like, we're going to fix this or we need better policies. But Kamala, aren't you already in power? What policy need fixing? Your own? Tell us, right? What policy are you referring to? This current administration policy or Trump's policies? The economy is struggling, prices are skyrocketing, and real people are hurting. And she's acting like none of that is her responsibility. I think Jennings nailed it when he pointed out the disconnect. And the average voter isn't buying it. And this narrative is not just working. Harris is trying to distance herself from Joe Biden's failures. But how can you, when you're literally the vice president? It's like driving a car into a ditch and then saying, don't worry, I will be better next time. And yet, if it weren't for the media running defense for her, this wouldn't even be a race. Everybody knows that. Even with all the media cushioning right now, Trump is still like neck and neck in the polls, which says a lot about how people feel. You know, I think Scott Jennings was spot on, and I'm with him on this one, pretty much. I'm with him. And another thing I wanted to point out is the media double standard, especially when it comes to Trump versus Kamala Harris. It's like clockwork. Whenever Trump did something good during his administration, like making solid economic moves, the media was or is quick to downplay it. Oh, it wasn't Trump. It was his aides, his advisors, or his administration, not him. But let something go wrong, and suddenly it's all on Trump. No mention of those advisors then, right? The buck stops with him, only when it's convenient, you know? Now, flip it over to Kamala Harris. If anything positive happens on the Biden-Harris, suddenly Kamala's are here being the hero. Oh, she passed the bill. She was instrumental in making that happen. But when it comes to the mess at the border, silence. Oh, she's not really involved there. That's not her problem. She wasn't a border czar. She was literally appointed as the border czar. But somehow, the failure aren't sticking to her. Why? Because the media lets her skate. Like, you know? This selective accountability is wild. I want you to watch this video, a response from Brian Lanza, another CNN contributor as well, but a Republican. Listen to this.
Brian, let me let you get in on this conversation.
Listen, I'm glad somebody wrote her plan, but when she does interviews, she doesn't go into details or specifics. She really talks in broad generalities. She talks about her launch. She talks about everything about the specifics that's going to help restore American wealth, which her and Biden have robbed America of wealth through the last 3.5 years with inflation. So, I mean, her challenge is she has to convince America that her plan forward is better than the plan that's existed, that she's been a part of for the last 4 years. And and we can have all these economists come forward. They all came forward in 2016 and said Donald Trump would wreck the economy, it would cause a recession, and none of these things. None of those things.
That's partly
happened.
because he had people around him who restrained him from doing some of the really stupid things he wanted to do.
So the economists were wrong.
But when it comes to he was not able to execute his plan of firing the Fed
Or
chair.
pulling completely out of NAFTA.
Yes.
With nothing.
He negotiated NAFTA.
I know, but
let's be clear.
Catherine's
And
point
now
is
he's
that,
mad about it.
Catherine's point,
Well, they have an
Catherine's point is
opportunity
that
to revisit it in 2 years. That's the
Catherine's
law.
point is that he campaigned on getting rid of NAFTA altogether. He renegotiated it because his aides convinced him that that was not.
And he got a better deal out of
And
it.
I think the real reason that
Oh, yeah. Trump is at fault. You know, this selective accountability is wild. When is Trump? They want him to own every problem, but with Kamala, they're giving her a pass on the tough issues. You can't have it both ways. Trump was the guy in charge. He made the final calls. And the same goes for Biden and Kamala now. If you're going to give credit, give it where it's due. I'm sorry. Give it where it's due. Don't just twist the narrative to fit your agenda. It's like the media was this magical eraser for Kamala's mistake, but holds on to everything or every little thing Trump did. Whether it's a good or bad, you know what? This just shows how deep media bias runs. And I want to know what you guys think about it. So here is something else that had me shaking in my head. Like, even the MSNBC host, who might as well be Kamala Harris press secretary at this point, had to admit Kamala wasn't really answering the questions during that interview. I mean, like, we all know it. It was a softball session with biased question. But when even your own interviewer is like, hey, are you going to answer the question at some point? You know there is a problem. Let's watch this.
How do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share. They also agree that when we look at a plan such as mine that is about investing in the middle class, investing in new industries, investing in bringing down costs, invest in entrepreneurs like small businesses, that the overall economy is stronger and everyone benefits.
Talk about that answer. I do, but here's what's a little tricky. She doesn't answer the question around if the GOP is controlling the Senate, if she can't raise corporate taxes, where is she going to get the money from, to expand the child tax credit and do all the things she wants to do? And she says, we just have to do it.
There you have it, guys. But here's the kicker. Despite Kamala dancing around every tough question, some Democrats will still cheer up on this like she nailed it. They are here vibing, thinking she gave her real substantive answers about the economy. Really? You think battleground voters, the ones struggling to pay bills, are convinced by vague promises and recycled talking point? Because, spoiler alert, they're not. They are not. Most of them are actually leaning toward Trump's policy on the economy because they need solutions, no slogans, no I grew up in middle class, whatever, This election is critical. And I'm just saying, folks need to pay attention to what matters, whether it's the economy, immigration, or even abortion rights. And honestly, without money or stability, how can you address any of these issues? Let's not get lost in the feel-good performances. Focus on the policies that will make a real difference. That's pretty much my take. What do you guys think? Drop your thought in a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Real Talk. Stay blessed.